Welcome to NothingisOB South Texas Golf Podcast, episode number 54. I always have a special guest, but my special guest tonight holds a little spot in my heart, deep in my heart, because he is actually the head golf pro at Corpus Christi Country Club in Corpus Christi, Texas. I have Brent Blackburn on tonight. He's going to be talking a little bit about his story, some of the great things he has, as he was just newly appointed the head golf professional there at Corpus Christi Country Club back in January. He's a teaching professional, about a little over 25 years in the golf game. He's got some great stories. I've spoken to him before, and I think he's going to be perfect for the show. But before we get into that interview, I have a word from our sponsor here. I'm thankful to have Michael A. Aguirre with Capital Strategies and Mass Mutual Firm as a sponsor of the show. Like my passion for golf, Mike has a passion for helping others, especially in the financial department. Please allow him to give you a free financial analysis and help give you and your family a better fiscal outlook. I trust Mike with my finances. Please trust him with yours. There's several ways you can hit him up. On his cell phone at 210-413-2522 or on his website at www.michael-aguirre.com. That's Michael A. Aguirre, financial advisor with Capital Strategies. Mike will not do you wrong. Thank you for your sponsorship, Mike. I truly appreciate you. All right, welcome to the show, Brent. How you doing tonight?
All right. Oh, doing great, Andy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I actually just got off the course. I played the back nine at Olympia Hills in Universal City, just right outside San Antonio with my daughter right now. So it was pretty good.
Fantastic. Well, I just got off the course myself, working with the ladies at finishing up our last Operation 36 for the spring semester. So having some fun with them. So lots of fun.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. Let's get right into it. So, Brent, I know you just got appointed as the head golf professional at Corpus Christi Country Club back in January. So how did this all come to be, and what golf club did you come from?
Good question. So I was at Gentle Creek Country Club, which is in Prosper, just north of Dallas. And sorry as my pup gets yelling over here. But Gentle Creek was a privately owned country club. And so we'll just say that my values weren't in line with the owner anymore. So when the opportunity came open at Corpus Christi Country Club to be back at a member-owned facility, which is kind of my background, I jumped at the chance, and fortunately it worked out for me to make that move down to Corpus. So it's I grew up in Lubbock. So everybody asked me about, how do you like the wind down in Corpus? I'm like, well, at least in Corpus, the wind tops out at about 30, 35 miles an hour. Where I grew up, it'd be 50 miles an hour with brown dirt in the air. So you're always fighting that. But no, we've liked getting back to the smaller footprint after I was in Houston for 15 years and then in Dallas for another 10. So to get back to a smaller footprint has been really a lot of fun. And I had somebody the other day tell me they had to go all the way to downtown. It took them a whole 10 or 12 minutes to get to downtown. I'm like, gosh, where I'm from, that's a 30-minute starter, to go anywhere. So no, it's been great to get, somebody says, hey, did you go out and eat? And I said, yeah, we went to downtown. Like, you went all the way to downtown? Yes. We went a whole 20 minutes across town to get someplace to eat. So no, it's been great.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad my hometown city is treating you well. And that's one thing, honestly, being from Corpus Christi, I think it's like a small town, right? And so I moved up to San Antonio back in '98 to come to UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio. And I'm talking to a lot of people up here. And as I'm trying to explain where I'm from, everyone's like, yeah, I know Corpus. And I'm just like, I'm blown away because I think Corpus is such a small town. And, these people are giving me places like Uvalde, Concan, Crystal City. And I'm just like, no, never heard of it. And then I realized how big of a city Corpus is. And again, hey, the beach. And so everyone says the Corpus, but they don't mean really Corpus. They're talking about GP, Gregory Portland, Rockport, Port A. And I'm like, that's not Corpus.
No, for sure. It's just one of those things. It's actually bigger than people think, because I think most people are going to the beach. They're going to Port A. things of that nature, which are fun. Don't get me wrong. But no, there's a lot going on in Corpus, and I've been impressed. I think it's great, and we've kind of enjoyed getting here. So,
well, I'm glad to hear that. Let's go ahead and get into some golf right here. So, what got you started in this crazy game of golf?
Yeah. So, what got me started? Well, so back long time ago, gosh, I guess I was probably in my 8, 9, 10. My dad was a player. He liked getting out, and so he would, I wanted to hang out with Dad, so I went and he'd let me go to the golf course with him. And then it's one of those things, wouldn't get to play or whatever at first. And then over time, I'd get to play 9 holes. And then as time moved on, when I got into junior high, my love was really football. I wanted to play football, but I was playing football, basketball, ran track. And then the summers would play golf. And, fortunately, my parents joined a local club there in Lubbock. And as time moved on, in Lubbock, our freshman years in junior high, right? So I played football, ran basketball, ran track. And so I was going to go and be a football player in the high school. And so the high school football coach comes to our junior high, and he meets with each one of us individually. And he broke my heart. He basically told me that, a kid your size will never play varsity on my team. And so, of course, being a kid, I don't know that he's trying to motivate me or whatever he's trying to do. But fortunately, he gave me a great gift because it's kind of worked out. So I'm like, well, I've been playing golf. I'm going to go try and make the golf team. And so sure enough, made the golf team, and was fortunate to let her all 3 years. But yeah, I mean, what a gift he gave. But yeah, I can't, sometimes people wonder why people don't stay in sports. Well, there's a prime example of what got me motivated to go do something else. And, and I know some people that burns in them, they're like, I want to show that guy or whatever, but I'm a kid. I didn't know. I don't know what he was trying to do, but yeah, what a gift he gave me. As it turns out, that he gave me a lifelong career. So, but anyway, keep on going. We played, didn't end up trying to do anything in college. I didn't really have any mentors in Lubbock that helped us. So I didn't even know that, I knew that the colleges had players, but I didn't know that there were junior colleges looking for players. I didn't know that there were Division II, and I knew Division II and 3 schools had teams, but I didn't realize that they, I thought you had to be recruited. So I go off to college, and I was going to Texas Tech and ended up trying to walk on the team and got second. And guess what that gets you? Nothing. So, and that's when I started to feel like my life on the PGA Tour wasn't going to quite come through. So I started working at one of the local golf courses at the municipal. We had a 36-hole municipal course, started working there. And then as kind of things worked out, next thing you know, one of the assistants got a job at Amarillo Country Club. And 6 months later, they had some turnover, and I'm getting a call, hey, do you have any interest in getting in the golf business? And after working in a year, I didn't mind, I wanted to be around golf. I didn't mind working weekends and holidays.
You're the perfect candidate.
So yeah, it worked out. I think so. Yeah. So anyway, ended up moving up to Amarillo, getting in the business, and that's kind of where it started. So yeah, that's kind of my road to getting in the business. It's just once you kind of figure out that you're not going to be a player, you start seeing what other options. If you want to stay in golf, what other options are there to make a living? So that's how I got going.
I know what you mean there about once you figure you're not a player, so you do some things like start podcasting, interviewing top coaches, so you learn a thing or two for free.
Yes, for sure.
Now, what's the top course there in Lubbock? Because I'm not too familiar with that area.
Yeah, so there's going to be a couple that are worth checking out if you can. Of course, Lubbock Country Club's probably the top course, but the Rawls Course, which wasn't there when I was in Lubbock, is the university course. It's called the Rawls Course at Texas Tech, and if you're in that part of the area or part of the state, it's worth checking out. It's Tom Doak design, and basically when I was going to school there, it was a cotton field, so it had 1 inch of elevation on it. And so my understanding is they've moved 1 million cubic feet of dirt to make this Lynx style thing happen out there. So it's worth. There's a few courses in West Texas worth checking out, and if you're in that part of the state, that's one of them.
Now that's always a good thing. I'm always trying to really inform my viewers, inform my listeners of where to go when you're in a certain area. Now, for some people that might not know, what's the difference between, I guess, your normal golf course and a links course? Because I constantly hear that, oh, it plays like a links style, and I'm over here like, I'm just thinking of kind of like the old course and thinking of like British or the old British Open style courses, and I'm like, I guess that's a links course. So what's the difference, or what is a links course?
Yeah, so originally, by definition, a links course was by the sea. So that's why the old course, those courses when the British Open Rota generally by the sea is called links. If it's inland, it was called a parkland style golf course. So then if you think about it, not that I'm Mr. Golf Historian, but if you think about it, when the folks were coming over to the United States and they were starting to build these golf courses like at, say, Winged Foot or what have you, there were no trees. So they would build the golf course, which to them seemed links style, right? Because there were no trees. And then as time went on, then the American spin kind of got on it to where they're putting and planting trees. And then, of course, they keep growing over time, and then they become more of a parkland style golf course. So when you hear the term links now, especially at, say, the Rawls Course, they built it that way knowing there are really no trees that really come into play. So they call that more of a link style now. That basically means no trees. So in my mind, as it does put a link style approach now, it's really lots of bunkering and fits, like when you go to, now, hadn't been to Banded Dunes, but when I see pictures of it, there's not a lot of trees. They're working with the land. So anyway, links are typically by the sea. Parkland style golf courses are inland. That's how the definition was originally.
That's some knowledge drop, because I recently had a superintendent of the Golf Club of Texas in San Antonio here last week, Ken Buckler, and I always like to pick up just little things from pros, from superintendents, from people that obviously know more about golf than me. And man, you dropped some knowledge on me today right there about links and about parkland. So I'm going to sound like a real golf historian next time I speak to somebody when they ask me about a links course. And I'm going to say, I'm going to quote the head golf professional at Corpus Christi Country Club, Brent Blackburn.
Hey, anytime I can add to your knowledge base, I'm doing well.
Yeah, now you are. You're already off to a hot start. Now, right here, why don't you tell me your favorite course that you've ever played at?
Well, good question. So we'll just for fun, we'll keep it in the state. So I've got two of my favorite areas in the state. I'm gonna cheat and go with two. So there's on Lake Conroe on the north side, there's a place called Bentwater. And at Bentwater, it's just pine trees and lots of hills through the pine trees, which is something you don't get in Texas a lot. So that's we'll call that a tie for first. And then the second, I'm going to take it to Marble Falls, and pretty much anything in Marble Falls, Horseshoe Bay area.
Yeah, Horseshoe Bay.
But if you ever get the chance to go to Escondido or the Summit Rock, I mean, that's as good as it gets there. Just being in the hill country, you can't go wrong. So, and just kind of think of both of those, lots of hills, except you have piney woods over in Lake Conroe, and then you got just great golf in Marble Falls. And those are just, anytime you get some hills. When you grow up in Lubbock, and then now I'm in Corpus, and hey, hills are a good thing, right?
Well, your course has got some bumps along the way. I mean, they're not towering hills. I mean, there are, and that's one thing that one of the goals of my podcast, and I had told you this previously when we spoke, was taking my dad there to his childhood gig when he was growing up. He was there in his teens. He was a caddy there way back when. He said he was caddying for some of the top lawyers and doctors and politicians way back in the day. And at the Corpus Christi Country Club, him and his brother, they said they would get like $1, I think they said, working at 18, and then they'd get kicked to what they called the caddy shack at the time. And he said that's really where he learned the game of golf. So one of my big goals was to take my dad to play there. And luckily enough, we got the opportunity to go play back in March during spring break. And I remember asking about you, that you were so new there, you didn't even have a card, a business card. And so luckily enough, the young man in the pro shop, he was able to give me your information like to a T. And I was like, you know what? Hey, that's a good employee right there, because I have trouble writing down my complete email address at times.
Well, fortunately, we've gotten those business cards, so we're moving along. But now it's interesting how things have evolved to when folks were really making helping their family make ends meet, doing those types of things. So the business has evolved a long way.
Okay, what seemed to be your favorite hole there around your course? Because right here, look, I'm gonna put up a picture here real quick. I saw it, and everything I'm pulling is from your social media. So if you're questioning a picture or something, you got to look deep inside. All right.
Yeah. So that's number one right there. So number one, you can kind of see the tree. There's a tree with some greenery on it that's right off the tee box. But if you look a little bit farther down, there's a tree that doesn't have any leaves on it at this time. And that's a eucalyptus tree. And everybody hates that tree who cuts the ball, because they hit that ball with every shot off the tee box. And if they do miss it and they do cut the ball, then they're in the driving range, which is off to the right. So number one's a tough hole, dogleg left. But that eucalyptus tree is the bane of many slicers' existence, because it's a brutal start, because you just can't navigate that thing if you're cutting it. But no, my favorite hole, I'm kind of a par 5 fan. I enjoy playing the good par 5s, and the 11th hole is a good par 5, usually into the wind. And for most of us, it's a 3-shot hole. There's some folks who can get there in 2. I can't quite get there in 2. If the wind's out of the north, I might can get there, but it's a fun hole, usually a 3-shot hole.
Now, what type of grass is out there in the fairway and the greens?
Yeah, so it's Bermuda. On the greens, we'll start there. It's a Tiff Eagle, which is kind of a really solid, fast Bermuda grass. Grows really tight. That's been really solid. And then we still have the old school common Bermuda. That's from 1963 when the course was built at this location. Yeah, so the club opened in 1922, and John Brittamus, actually, throwing some more history on you, he did the original routing at the old course back in 1922. So
where was that located?
Good question. I think it's Old River Road was the thing, as what I understand. So I think now there's a bunch of plants over there. So maybe oil and gas or what have you. So, but I hear it was a great place, and it's just one of those things that the usually courses are only worth what their land is. And it got to be to where the land got so valuable, they made an offer to the membership, and the membership took it, and the membership moved out to its current location off Everhart.
Well, I think it's worked out pretty good. Now, what hole is it? I think is it 10, if I'm not mistaken? That's right there by, I guess it's not Everhart. Is it Yorktown, Saratoga? So
10's right by the parking lot, and then as you work your way around the back 9, 16 and 17 come down. There we go. Saratoga.
Yeah, because I guess it's a 17 that you have to go. Is it the par 3 over the water?
Correct.
Right? Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because constantly, I remember growing up, I was always the ones honking the horns. You hate right in guys' backswings.
Yes. Getting everybody's attention.
Oh yeah. And so it's a great track. I really like it. It reminds me. It reminds me of a little bit of an old school course. To where in parts it's kind of tight. It's got small fairways. The greens were worked pretty good. I actually shot, if I'm not mistaken, there from the blues, I shot at 84. So I didn't think that was too bad for me.
Hey, that's pretty good. And I can tell you, the greens are like super tiny. So in the wind that we have, it's tough. It's tough to get that green and reg percentage up. You're doing a lot of short game work around that place, I can tell you.
Well, okay. Now tell me, as we get a little bit more into the course, what's the lowest you've gone there at Corpus Christi Country Club?
Well, I need more reps. I need more reps. This is one of those things you just hit the ground running. And as a matter of fact, my last 18-hole round was in February. So I've been head down, tail up, so to speak, working like crazy. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to start getting back into playing here. And I've got it marked. Matter of fact, I've got next Friday marked off after lunch. We're going to start getting back into playing, and I'm going to hope to make Friday kind of afternoon my play day. We're going to start getting the club back in my hand. So I don't have a low round yet. I'd say, well, I shot 76. I don't know if that's going too low, but I've only got about 2 rounds in, two 18-hole rounds in at the club. So we'll report back and see what's happening here as we get back into playing.
Well, that's what I like to hear. So right now I'm going to play a little clip from one of your teaching lessons right here. And just in case my viewers, don't be shocked. Yes, this is Brent's style. He's not only a great instructor, but he's also a fashionista right here.
Hi, I'm Brent Blackburn, your head golf professional here at Corpus Christi Country Club, and I get a lot of questions about what are some good drills for putting, and today I've got one called Leapfrog. And so I've got a tee set up to where I'm going to be putting from, and I made 3 paces, which is roughly 9 feet to a tee. Then I made another 2 paces and put a tee down at 15 feet. So my goal at Leapfrog is I want the ball to get even or just past this first tee. And if I can get it even or just past, then my next ball is going to get even or just past the golf ball. And then I keep doing that drill because it helps me with my distance control. And then my goal is to fit as many golf balls as I can between those tees. And I want to try and keep track of that so that I can keep an idea of if I'm getting better at my distance.
There you go. All right. That's a good drill right there, man. I'm always trying to get something for free. I'm always trying to learn a little something for free.
Yeah, the juniors hate that drill. It's a hard drill, but no, it's really good. If you get it in that distance, and if you can get upwards near 6 or 8, and then if you get really good at it, then you start giving yourself a longer putt. Yeah, you can. It's really a good drill. But yeah, the juniors hate it. It's too hard on them. So yeah, you gotta sneak those in on them.
Now, tell me about your junior program. I see from the videos and from the posts that things are really picking up, especially with golf. And due to this COVID time, I think that from speaking to a lot of people in the golf game, they said golfing is up like 43 to 45% in sales and tee times. Those tee sheets are getting a little bit more full, especially at the municipal golf courses. Now, tell me a little bit about your junior golf program.
Yeah. So when I was, it's a long story, but to make a long story short, we found a group called Operation 36. And some of the hardest parts when you do a junior program is coming up with the curriculum of what you're trying to do. So if you're going to try and do a year-round junior program, which is what I wanted to do, so you're going to have a spring semester, which is a 12-week program, a summer session, which is roughly 8 weeks. You're going to do another 12 weeks in the fall, and then 8 weeks in the winter. So when we were in the Dallas area, I had a director of instruction who was doing that for me. And so he came up with all the curriculum, and it's really tough. And because you want to make sure that the kids are learning something and getting better, but you want it to be fun. And he was doing a great job with that. Well, we came across these folks came up with this Operation 36 program, and it's so simple that, everybody goes, gosh, why didn't I think of that? But they had so much curriculum with that. So stuff what we hadn't even thought of, but totally is so much fun. And then the other part of that is they have the players, the juniors will get out on the golf course and try and shoot 36 or under. And you start off from 25 yards. And if they can shoot 36 or under from 25 yards, then the next time they get to advance to 50 yards. And you have some kids, the first few times they can't get there. Maybe they shoot 52 or whatever from 36 yards. But as they keep trying and they keep going through the program, their scores really start to plummet and go down. And then, so if you shoot 36 from 25, then you go to 50. If you do it from 50, you go to 100. If you do it from 100, you go to 150, 200, 250, and then you go to the first set of tees. Then you just keep working your way back. So there's always a challenge point to that. They have a great app. So for kids or who love being technology, which most kids do, by the way, they get to keep track of that through the app. Plus, it helps mom and dad keep track of where they're at. And I just can't say enough about it. So when I was at Gentle Creek before, we ended up, when I left, we had over 100 kids in the Operation 36 program. So then when I come down here, I'm like, well, we're absolutely going to do that. So sure enough, we have have had a great response. So it's just a fantastic program. There's lots of programs out there that are really good, but I just can't say enough good things about the Operation 36 program. So not only is it great for juniors, I mean, it's great for anybody. So we do a ladies program with it. We changed some of the content to be more attuned towards adults for the ladies. But and just like I said, got through with that tonight and had one lady pass from 25 yards. I just can't say enough good things about it. So if anybody is on the fence about it, jump off the fence and go jump into the program because it's fantastic.
Well, see, that's interesting that you say that. I was just thinking, I said, do they have this stuff for adults? Because I know David Orgeron here in the greater San Antonio area, especially out in his range and golf facility in New Braunfels, I'd say maybe about 30, 40 miles right outside of San Antonio. Now, he does Operation 36, and it seems like it's normally done with junior golfers. But I like how you stated that you do it with your female golfers. And I'm interested because, I'm always trying to get a little bit sharper. And especially guys like me, hack golfers, grinders, we want to get better, but we don't want to be that one lone guy out there, amongst like some 60-year-old golfers or, I think the trend has been there's a lot more of that diverse golfer out there now that, maybe want to play that sundown 9, maybe want to have some brews with, their bro time like we spoke about, earlier when we talked. And I think that's something that can be really, explored with especially the big boom in golf right now.
Well, so the thing that we've seen that's been so popular with the ladies is it's more social, number one. So what we do, we go an hour and a half every week. And so we'll do a topic for roughly, we'll call it 45 minutes. And then we go grab a beverage, as you said, and then we go apply the topic on the course. So I think that, and usually ladies are going to be more social anyway. But if I were going to do a program, which for anybody listening, this is going to happen, we're going to do what we call a practice club. And so what I would do is I'd take some of that same content and we'd meet once a week and we'll do a practice club to where we're having some of that. So for folks who might be maybe not want to have all the less frills, we'll have some of the practice, they'll have homework, and then we'd go do the Operation 36 once a month and give them those challenge points to now that you've had that practice time. Now let's go apply it. And let's make those challenge points as you go through, whether it's 25 yards. And once you pass that, you go to 50. And I can tell you, and for some of my high school prep kids, I was forcing them to start at 25 yards and they thought that was too beneath them. Right.
Kitty. They might've been kitty a little bit. Right.
Yeah. So we changed I said, hey, look, if you shoot 36 or less, you're going to pass. But today your goal is to shoot 28. Okay. So we treat every hole as a par 4, but if they're going to shoot 28, that means they're going to have to chip it on and 2-putt. And I gave them one more out, so 3 times 9 is 27. And I gave them one more for a 28. So, and also the Operation 36 folks are real good about showing you what would tour level guys shoot from 25 yards. Well, it's 24. That's the average. So when you think about it, it's not that easy. A lot of people think, well, I'm just going to go shoot 18. No, you're not. You're not going to get it up and down 9 times from 25 yards. And if you look at the PGA Tour stats from 25 yards, it's, they're averaging about 12 feet from the hole. And last time I checked, the odds aren't in your favor to make putts from 12 feet. So, it's really, I think if people think it's not that big a deal, you're underselling the deal. It's really a lot of, number one, it's a lot of fun, but two, just change your challenge point. If you think 36 is too high for you, no problem. Make it 27 and see how it goes. It's tough, I'm telling you.
I totally agree with you there, because, and I think that's where a lot of guys, like I'd say, like me, I'm not playing at a 10.3 right now, and I'm trying to get in that single digits, and it's about where our focus is towards how we practice. And I had a really good instructor on. He's out here at Briggs Ranch. He's the director of instruction for the Dormy Network out here in San Antonio, and his name's Trevor Salzman, and he was constantly talking about you have to practice like, he works with his students about practicing in game type situations or like live round situations. Hey, you're kind of by this tree, or, you need to get up and down from 100 out, or this, that, and the other. And he made a lot of sense, because as I listen to podcasts, there's a lot of crap music out there nowadays, and you can't listen to the same damn country stations or classic rock, or AC/DC all the damn time. And so, especially here in San Antonio, everything takes at least 20, 15, 30 minutes to get anywhere. And so I'm constantly listening to podcasts and hearing about what type of practice works best. And I always hear guys tell me, oh, how do you get off the tee? Or, they're always asking questions. And that makes a lot of sense from working 25 and in, because that's kind of a distance I don't like to be in. If I'm playing a par 5, and my second shot, sure, I could hit a 215, maybe 223 wood, but I'll have like a 60-yard shot or 50-yard shot. I don't like that. I'd probably go maybe a 4-iron or 5-iron, because I want a full sand wedge or full gap wedge for me, which is like 100, 110. I want to hit that type of shot to take a full swing, as opposed to like maybe like a 40-yard shot, a 30-yard shot, to where it's a lot of touch.
Yeah, and to go along those lines, I love what your instructor's saying, and I would take that as we're basically saying the same thing. You're going to practice like you play and play like you practice. Okay. Now, what if you took let's say you hit it off in the trees. What's your strategy from there? So to me, a strategy could be, what if I hit it into if I could get it inside 60 yards, if I can now get it inside 60 yards and I can hit it on and 2-putt, that's a maximum bogey most of the times. So, I mean, how many times if we got done playing, if we said, gosh, dang, if I wouldn't have double bogeyed something, or, if you said, hey, my maximum score, and that's just a way of thinking it through. If I get into trouble, how can I get it inside 60 yards to try and chip it on or pitch it on and 2-putt? Just saying, hey, and who knows, maybe I'll make the putt for par. But if I can get into that zone to where I can try and make it on and 2-putt, and yes, we might 3-putt from here and there, but for the most part, if I could do that, would that help my score day in and day out? I think the answer is absolutely.
Hell yeah.
And especially if I'm a player who's trying to break 90, if that's my goal, just doing the math, 18 bogeys is 90. Okay. So if I can make bogey my maximum score, is that one step closer to breaking 90? Yeah, absolutely. And proximity to green makes a difference. So if I was, instead of 50 yards, if I got that to 30 yards, would that help things out? Yeah, absolutely it would. So I think if you start to change that, because the first thing everybody wants to do is say, hey, Brent, hey, well, I want to go out and get better. Okay. I'm going over to the chipping area and they're going over to the driving range. Okay. If you said, hey, that's me. That's my goal is to drop 5 shots immediately, then let's go work a strategy that's going to help you do that. And it's not with the driver. That's not it. Because even out the play, if you check the PGA Tour stats, it's the same. They only hit so many fairways. You're going to miss some. So then let's plan through, not that we can't strive to make our swings better, but if we can have a strategy when things don't go the right way, instead of what I'll see people do is they're trying to hit that 1 out of 10 shot. And when you hit that 1 out of 10 shot, that's when they get those 8s. And that just crushes your score, right? Because it's hard to recover from that, because I'm not making that many birdies to come, to get out from under that 8. So yeah, I think coming back through and saying, hey, objectively, which is really hard to be when you're outside playing and you have this little scorecard.
Now, okay, so you gave us the tips and the ideas, the strategy to break 90. Now, this is where I really want to ask you. Now, I've been flirting a lot with 81s, 82s, 83s. What's the next step in breaking 80 and getting into those 70s?
Okay, so at any barrier, whatever that is, as players, what do we do the most? We make some pars, right? We're at hole 5 or 6 or 7, and we're like thinking, oh, if I extrapolate the score out, I will shoot X, right? And I think as players, we need to say, hey, look, what got us there? What got us to being, shooting some of our best scores? And that's really staying. And it may sound cliche, but you have to stay in the moment. You can't get the cart in front of the horse. How did you hit those great shots? What's the process that helps you make those scores, right? And if you don't have a clear idea of what you're trying to do in your mind, I think that's where people get messed up. Because how many times have you been to where you've shot 36 on the front 9 and then you go get something at the turn and then you shoot 44 or whatever, right? That happens all the time. So I think as you keep going, what were the things that made you successful? So to give you an example, when I'm playing and things are going my way, I kind of have a process. And for me right now, or at least the last time I played, is right now, as I look down, I can see the why, which is not why am I listening to this podcast, but it's the why being my arms in the shaft of the club that forms the letter Y, right? So as I work that Y and I turn back, that really rotates my body. So for me, I can visually see that as I take that away. So I will see that Y going back, and then I try and turn to the left with my hip as fast as possible. When I do that process, not every time, but when I do that process, most of the time, I have some really fun shots. And if I can do that process, regardless of what my score is, when I get done at the end of the day and add up the score at the end, sometimes I'm like, wow, I really did pretty good. But as players, sometimes, let's say I'm playing really good and let's say I'm maybe a couple under, and I'm not thinking that. I'm still in my process with every shot, doing my thing. I'm trying to be in the moment, doing the stuff, which we saw Phil Mickelson doing, right? Winning the PGA Championship. So I'll get somebody go, hey, did you know that you're 2 under at this time? Well, as a player, what do? You go, oh my gosh, I'm 2 under with so many to go. Then you put the cart in front of the horse and you're like, gosh, if I do this, I will shoot that. Well, guess what? Am I thinking about my process anymore? No, I got to go back to my process and say, hey, look, I can't worry about all that stuff. I've got to come back in and now go back to what got me here. That's taking my Y swing back, leading with my left side, getting over to the left side. And when I do that, I hit some really fun shots. When my body checks out, they're not so fun anymore. I'm not controlling the club face. I'm hitting it all over the place. So I think as you go through, what helps you hit good shots? What process gets you to that?
I think for me personally is being in a good tempo. I think as I play, like today, my daughter and I we're playing a scramble, and we're playing with 2 like novice golfers today, and it got long early. It got long early in the first couple holes because they were taking forever. They were hitting, and luckily enough, my daughter has me to at least give us some distance, right? And I think for me, it's always about being in a good tempo, going through the same process of practice swing, taking one practice swing, kind of doing one hip turn, taking a deep breath and then, hitting. For me, it's just kind of being in that good tempo. I think for me, it's all about the tempo and about the pace. If I start to take too long, take too many practice swings, get out of that rhythm, that's when I know that the round starts to get long for me and it's no longer fun. And I'm in the woods, I'm in the trees, I'm grinding, or I say too handsy, to where I try to save the shot or something.
Yeah. So a couple of things I would say there is, one, what gives you tempo? What gives you that? For you, what do you think gives you tempo?
I think, man, that's, I'm a coach. I've been coaching for 15 years. And so I always like to learn from great coaches and great instructors. And I hate when I get stumped, and so you're stumping me right now. Like, I guess maybe tempo is taking a little time, taking a breath, just trying to maybe, just kind of gather myself, like taking a deep breath, just kind of relaxing, trying to slow my breathing down a little bit. And, it's hard to pull myself back. I guess sometimes I go a little fast. I think fast. And I think tempos for me is just maybe nice and easy, seeing my target, taking one practice swing, stepping up, kind of doing a little wiggle, boom, and getting into it for me, at least.
Yeah. And I'll go back. I mean, since I know you watched Phil this weekend, the same thing for him. I mean, you could see him go through that process almost every time. And so that would be one thing I don't think people think about is, when does the golf shot start for people? Because what happens is you've got that same problem, right? You've got people, these novices, who are getting you out of your rhythm, but really you create your own rhythm, right? When does the golf shot start for you? And I think as you go through, whether it's your buddies playing, and you had your daughter with you at this time, but maybe you have your buddy in there and y'all are talking, having a good time. When does the conversation start? And when does your golf shot start? Or the conversation stop and your golf shot start, right? You've got to create that. And the same thing for Phil over the weekend. He's got all sorts of stuff. You got people talking, you got doing what they're trying to get crowds lined up, whatever. He's got to create all that stuff. And you could see him going into that moment, right? And then he would go in. And one time, I remember what hole, but he backed up, started all over again, went back into it. I mean, so you have to create that rhythm yourself. And I think and they're used to doing that, right? But it's still hard. I mean, he's trying to win a tournament on top of that. You're just trying to have a good time with your daughter out there, and it's tough. But I think as you keep going, you have to create that rhythm. And then as you do it with your golf swing, the better job you do rotating your body, to me, creates that rhythm. So not only are you doing it to have that rhythm to hit the golf shot, and then the more you rotate your body, that's going to be your rhythm. Because your body's different than everybody else's. So yeah, I think those are things that you need to think about. Everybody needs to think about, because I guarantee you, for me personally, I'm the worst, because when I'm playing with people and I'm getting ready to hit my shot, my mind's still on that last one-liner that I want to give out to somebody or dig or whatever, when that's happening, am I fully into my process anymore? The answer is no. I need to start over, get back to my process. And I'm the worst one. I'll go, hell with it. I'll just hit it anyway. Well, that's the worst ones. I'm like, so why did I do that? Why don't just take the extra 5 seconds and start all over? It's not that big a deal. So yeah, it's being mindful of that, to where you can say, hey, no, it's worth my time for my shot for that extra 5 or 10 seconds. It's so worth it. Yeah.
I totally agree. Now, as we talk about Phil, who's your favorite player out on the PGA Tour that you just love to watch?
So I'll go, my top 3 right now is Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, and Jordan Spieth.
Oh, gosh, man. I love Rory. I love watching Rory. He's a Nike guy, so I'm a Nike guy. I just, the style, I do not like FootJoys. I can't wear them. I can't wear the FootJoys. And that was my first golf shoe. Was that classic FootJoy that was white with brown or black, down in the middle, and look,
I got my Nike swoosh here. Yeah. So I've been a Nike athlete for 8 years or so. Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
That's it, man. I'm just a Nike guy,
That's it.
I got me some Reacts. I got me some 90s. I got the 270s. I got some J's right there.
Let me see if I can do this justice.
Okay. I did a review on those. You have to go at least half a size up, I think.
For sure.
Half a size
too
up.
Tight. Yes. I've got the thinnest socks I can wear. And my foot is killing me.
All right. As we talk about brands here, I'd say I saw you rocking some of the Air Max. I saw you rocking some of the Air Max 90s. Are you in with? Are you sponsored? Are you team anything with any company right now?
Yeah, so I've been a Nike athlete for probably 8 to 10 years. I'd have to go back and check, but it's been a long time. And I've been with Callaway golf now for probably 6 years or so. So I've had a lot of fun. All right, pulling out the Maverick. Great job. So it's been a lot of fun working with both those companies. I've been able to hear, where they're headed or what they're trying to do. I was fortunate enough to go out to Carlsbad, to Callaway, and meet all the folks who do their creation. Roger Cleveland, I'm sorry, who does all the Callaway wedges. I've had dinner with him twice and get to hear from the person what he's trying to do with the wedges. That's pretty special. And so, you get sold on that stuff. So, I'm in the bag. I'm all the way through Callaway. I play the golf ball. I've been to the plant in Massachusetts, to understand how they're making those and understand and get to see the machines, the 3D X-ray to make sure that the center core is in the center, and what they're doing. So it's easy to drink the Kool-Aid and understand what they're doing. But those are my two companies, and they've been great to work with, and they've treated me well.
It's funny you say that, because before we started talking on the podcast, we talked about a mutual friend, Carlos Brown, and out of Irving, Texas, there in the Dallas-Fort Worth kind of area. And same thing. He's a Nike guy. He's a Callaway guy. And from speaking with him and having him on the podcast, he said a couple of good things about the companies. That he said not only do they make incredible high quality products, is that they're great. They're people. They're great people. They have great people behind them, and they have great. They're solid. They're solid people. They have values, and they place value on the people that they have on their teams, and that they've taken care of them. And that's something that I really like to hear, is not only as, yes, they can be these big corporations, but that they're also good communicators, and that they take care of their people.
Yeah, both companies have been great. And the people that I deal directly with have been great, and they support our business. And they help us do things to help, in my case, my members have a lot more fun. So they've been great to work with. We just got our Nike account opened. And it's tough right now, especially somebody with Nike, with all the product. They're not all made here in the United States, so sometimes it's tough getting that product. Callaway has done a fantastic job of getting their product, and most of the product comes from China, and it comes through the Port of Los Angeles. And right now, California is still not open 100%. The Port of Los Angeles is 40% open. So my understanding is there's 100 container ships sitting out in a mile off the coast or whatever. And Callaway's done a good job of going around to other ports, Mexico, et cetera, to get product in, and to make sure, because this golf boom, as you said, there's people still wanting product, and they're still trying to deliver it. So it's tough. And fortunately, golf balls are made here in the United States. And when this whole pandemic went down, Massachusetts, the state, closed down completely. Well, that's the two. You got Titleist making golf balls, you got Callaway making golf balls in Massachusetts, and both places were shut down. So golf goes up like this. Well, there weren't any golf balls being made. And so they're still trying to catch up from that. So, but no, they're doing great, and but it's been fun to work with both.
Now, what has been one of the things that have stood out the most within your teaching career? Like, what was maybe one of the best stories you have, or best memories you have of one of your students, or any of those like aha moments?
Wow, gosh. So, it's always, everybody wants to talk about the really good players. I had a young lady when I was in the Houston area and I was in West Houston, and she was going to Sealy. Ashley Watkins, she won the 3A state championship out of Sealy. That was fun. She ended up going to TCU with a scholarship. That was fun to be a part of that process. And then, just like tonight, I had a lady shoot 36 from 25 yards and, saying, hey, look, if you use this Y swing and finish facing the target, you hit better shots. And she did. And she made it. And, those types of things, when somebody gets passionate about breaking 90 or 80 or whatever, and they're so excited when you help them do those things. And those are, to me, also extremely gratifying. They don't have to be shooting 65 for me, but those are fun when that happens too.
It is. And being a coach for 15 years, you love it when you see one of your players or one of your students, when that light bulb kind of goes off, or you instruct them one way and they accomplish it and they look at you like you're just God's greatest gift. Like, damn, this dude knows what he's talking about. And then you're like, hey, got him, I know this game, like in the words of Kevin Kisner, this ain't no hobby.
That's awesome. And you know what? It's funny. Sometimes they can come up with stuff that I'd never thought of. And there's more space than there's stuff that I didn't think that they could do. And they're like doing it. And so, yeah, it's fantastic. And that's at all levels. So it's gratifying for sure.
Now I got Sergio right here. All Callaway in my bag. Great products. This guy's a solid golfer. I played. It's one of my followers, somebody that watches and supports the podcast. I actually got to meet up with him. Sometimes I try my best to go and meet out, and luckily enough, he's a member out at the golf course that really helps promote me, which is the Golf Club of Texas here in San Antonio. It's a little bit outside. I'd say it's about 5-10 minutes outside of the city limits on your way to, say, Gardner State Park or Concan, Uvalde area. Now, he's a great golfer, and what this podcast has done is allow me to hook up with incredible people like yourself and to learn things. I've learned so much, and as a coach and a teacher, you try to steal things from other great instructors or other good coaches and different teaching styles, because like you said, pick up things from your students, and same thing. The same thing with me. I love the kid that is maybe not so talented, but, is the question because maybe the hardest thing out of your students sometimes is to get them to like ask you a question or to respond or, just to pull something out, especially from those young kids. They're just, or they're, head is in the dirt or whatever. And they're looking the other way when you're trying to talk to them. And I was really glad to meet Sergio because he's a solid golfer and a good guy. And somewhere along the line, he's related to Loreno Ochoa. So that's where I was just like, oh man, you're somebody I need to know.
That's royalty right there. That's awesome.
All right. As we get into just a little bit more of the golf, you stated Justin Thomas, you stated Jordan Spieth and Rory. Now, okay, I get Rory the Nike guy. What is it about JT and Spieth that just do it for you?
Well, for Jordan Spieth, he's might be the best putter on the planet, right?
When he's hot. Yeah, when he's hot.
Well, just he's just energy all the time, right? And his interaction between him and Geller, it's just always, I don't know. It just seems like he's always fun. There's always something happening, and sometimes it's not good. But it's just fun to watch. And frankly, really, and JT's kind of that way. And really with Rory too, they're talking and you can kind of know where they stand. And for me, Rory really, he'll tell you kind of like it is. And JT will, and Jordan, to me, that's what I think I like about them is they're polished, but yet they're going to tell you what's on their mind versus a Tiger who's always telling you what he tells you to not get in any trouble. Rory and Jordan and JT, they kind of tell you some stuff. And I think they tell it from the heart. They're polished enough, but they kind of tell you what's on their mind. And but no, they're just fantastic. Rory's short game is fantastic. We talk about his move a lot when we're teaching, and people know it. So it's an easy person to draw from. John Rahm's another good one. But no, pulling those players, they're just fun to watch. If I was going to play with somebody, if it was like the last day on the planet and I got 3 players to play, I could do the sappy, my dad or.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. That's one of my questions. Don't go there.
I'm coming with Rory, JT, and Jordan. Yeah, those are my 3. Come on. Let's go tee it up.
No, I love watching it because those guys are really candid. And funny you say that because those are three of my favorite players. I love JT. I hope he's able to get hot, to get on a hot streak because I really like his game. I like what he brings to the table. And Jordan, like you stated, it was fun. I like his interactions. You're right, with Griller. And I got to follow him a good amount when he was here for the Valero Texas Open. And it's awesome. It's awesome watching him. It's awesome hearing these guys, how they compress the ball. And I could just be out there for days on the range, just listening to them, how they compress that ball, how they hit it. And I said, how come my shots don't sound like those guys, right? And it's amazing to watch. All right, favorite golf movie?
Caddyshack. Are you kidding?
Favorite character?
All of them.
I thought you were going to say the Gopher. The Gopher is my favorite character.
Judge Schmales.
Hey, well, we're waiting.
And I never slice.
Oh, man, I love him. All right. Best, let's see right here. Best golf shot like that you can remember you've had.
Oh, gosh. Well, it depends on the situation. Oh my gosh. Well, the only one I can think of right now, we were playing in the Texas Team Championship, and well, I'll try and make a long story short. So me and my buddy Bobby Brown, who's at Cala Vista right now, we were playing in this match play tournament, and we played in the South Texas PGA, and we played so bad qualifying that we didn't qualify in the Eastern chapter, which is the Houston area, and there wasn't enough people to qualify that filled up the bracket in the Western. So they put us in the Western, which is the San Antonio, Austin area. And so we go there. And so we're in dead last. We're playing the defending champion because they were the #1 seed in this match play deal. We meet at the Bandit in New Braunfels because we're coming from Houston, and they were nice enough to at least go to New Braunfels from San Antonio area to meet us there. We go over there, and we're on like hole 17, and we're like almost kind of leading type thing. And I hit this putt, and I hit it too hard. And you know how you'll do as a player, you're like, no, too hard, stop. And it hits the back of the cup and goes straight down.
Oh, shoot.
And so the guys that were playing go, that wasn't even what you were trying to do. So they're yelling at me that I wasn't even right. And it didn't matter. We beat them 1-up. So we beat the defending champs. And here's the best part. I call my wife and I'm like, hey, we're driving home. We're going to stop and eat. And we beat the defending champ. She goes, hey, we need some bread. Did you not hear me? We just beat the defending champion. She goes, wait, hang on a second. And some milk.
Oh.
We need some bread and milk. I'm like, okay, what? I'll get the bread and milk. Never mind. I'll talk to you when I get home. Yeah.
You know what? Man, it sounds like your wife and my wife are cut from the same cloth. Like it just, she knocked me off your horse. She did. She brought me down.
It goes, nobody cares about my shot but me.
Hey, that's a tough hole there. Number 17 at the Bandit, the wall. Is that little par 3 that has those bricks right there, that brick wall in front of it. Yeah, that's a crazy green. Everything slopes kind of towards like that little creek or that dried up creek right there, or whatever. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so one of the last things is, as I'm watching the women's golf championship, the women's NCAA golf championship, I was listening to the winning team, Ole Miss. It was one of their seniors. I think her last name was Johnson or Jackson. She was crying, and then she was just talking about all the hard work and everything she had put into it, and committing to Ole Miss 4 years ago when it might not have been the popular choice, and seeing how happy she was and seeing how proud she was of her team, and seeing that championship moment where all that hard work, everything is so worth it. And I was showing my wife that video, and she's like, well, how did it happen? I said, well, because match play, they play match play, when you get down to the last teams. And as a golfer, as a coach, I think match play is like the ultimate, like mano-y-mano, Can you grind it out? You know, what are your thoughts on match play, and do you see the same, you know, do you hold it in kind of the same regard as I do?
For sure. So what I think a lot of people will do is they will put whatever format in their favor, right? So if you're a pretty good player, you're going to want to play stroke play as much as possible, because 9 out of 10 times you're going to beat whoever you're playing against. However, match play, if you're playing against somebody who's maybe not your skill level, it's completely a different mind game, because let's say y'all tie the first one, you tie the second one, then your guy that you're playing against, you make 4 and he makes 10. Well, mentally, even though maybe I had the 4, I'm still only 1 hole up. If I had the 10, I don't really care, because I'm still only 1 down. You know, so I mean, that's where some people could kind of hang in there. And let's say they're only 2 down after 14, when really they've shot 8 shots worse than the person that they're playing against. Then all of a sudden on 15, they win that hole. And then the person who was leading is going, wait a second, I've been crushing this guy all day. He can't win. I mean, and then your mind gets all messed up, because now you've extrapolated what should be happening, and instead of staying into the process or what we were talking about earlier. So yeah, all that stuff can happen. And if you're not careful, and that's where, you know, really listening to Tiger and watching them saying, hey, I expected them to make that putt. But that's not what people do. What are we doing? I hope he misses. I hope he misses. No, you got to go, no, I'm expecting them to make it. That way, when they do, it's no big deal. I was expecting them to make it the whole time. So yeah, so those are the things. It's a total mind game, because you can start going, no, that guy, he can't shoot 45. I mean, he can't shoot 45 on 9 holes. How is he close to me? Because that's match play. That's how it's worked out. Because he you know, he just had some big numbers, and you're thinking, well, I'm crushing him. No, it doesn't matter. You're only still a couple of holes, you know? So it's really, match play really can even things out. It really messes with your mind. And if you're not on top of your mind game, you could let somebody into the match who really shouldn't be there.
I think maybe that's why I've won my matches in my league, is maybe just because they let me in. Like, no, you don't let me in. Don't let me in here. I like to poke the bear. I poke the bear. You know?
To give you an example, I had when I was at General Creek, we played in the Texas Golf Association match play, and our club was playing against we were playing against Craig Ranch. And we were playing, it was me, and I had a 6 handicap. We were playing against 2 scratch players. And on paper, there's no way we should have been close to that. But this 6 handicap, he's a bulldog. I mean, he's a complete bulldog. And so he rises to the occasion. And so he's never out of the hole. So sure enough, we get down 2 holes after 9 holes, and we're down 2, right? Well, it turns out we take them all the way to 17, and we stayed that the whole way. And we're at 17, and he ended up missing a putt for birdie, and he hit it in close. And I really thought he was going to make it. But I mean, there's no reason we should have been in that match, me as a scratch and him as a 6, playing 2 scratches. And I can tell you, those guys they should have closed us out a long time ago, but he was always in the hole. When they thought he was out, he would hit it up and, you know, on par. Well, see, that messes with their minds. And so, yeah, you can really do some things with people. And anybody that's a bulldog, they're great match play players, because people will, oh, he hit it in the trees, he's out. No, he's not. You got to say, no, I expect him to make par from there. And that's where people get messed up.
And I think that's one thing, because somebody asked me the other day, well, what's your best part of your game? I said, I hate to see myself swing. I hate watching myself play on the course. If somebody takes a video of me, I hate seeing myself on the range. I said, I like to think my best attribute on the course is that I'm a grinder. I never give up. I never give in. I'm a 5'4", you know, little guy, and that's on a good day. And I was picked last for every team I've ever been on. One of my high school teammates, he said something the other day to me randomly. He said, Andy, you are the most intense guy, hardest working, toughest guy I've ever played with. And I was just like, okay, hey, I like that. I said, I always try to be, is like, you're a great teammate. And I love to grind. That's what I love about the game. I just love when it's you against the course, you against the shot. And I think as I'm 41 years old, as I'm slowly, aging like a fine wine over here, I'm thinking to myself that that's my best part of my game, is that I love to grind it out. I do. I love to grind it out. I love when someone thinks I'm out. Count me out. I've been counted out my whole life. I was like, what else is new?
That's fantastic. What a great compliment he gave you. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. How many people have you played with after 7 holes? They're done for the day. They've thrown in the towel already, and you're just like, dude, well, we got more. There's still plenty of time. You can get something going. I mean, so yeah, I love that about it. That's a fantastic story. I love it that you're doing that.
I do, and I hate to play guys like me. I do. I hate to play guys like me. I hate guys like me. That's why my podcast is called NothingisOB, because I don't have a filter when I speak with my friends. I'm just like, hey, why'd y'all break up? You're not supposed to ask. I was like, I just want to know. Like, it's on my mind. I'm not going to gossip. I go to the source, and things like that. Or what? Hey, well, why did you get a snowman on this hole? Or what? Like, oh, thanks, ass. Whatever. All right, craziest golf story that has happened when you've worked on the course or something. Craziest golf story that's happened at one of your facilities.
Craziest golf story. All right, so I was at Dallas Athletic Club. We had the U.S. Open qualifier, second stage, and let's see, on the blue course, hole number 18, it comes back to the clubhouse, and it's on the opposite side of the clubhouse from number 1. And let me see if I can describe this right. So this fella hits a shot on blue 18. He pulls it left. It hits the cart path again, and it's going parallel to the clubhouse. So he's not out of bounds, hitting the cart path, and it must have hit it like, we'll call it 10 times. And he hits it, and it rolls up on number 1 tee box. So let's just say, if I can put a visual on this, he's 100 yards past the green. Okay. And I'm over near, I just happen to be over there on number 1. And when you work those types of deals, the USGA really kind of runs the whole thing. We're as a staff, we're just there to support them and anything they need. So I just happen to be over there by the tee box. And you get some, like I remember this. So this was, we'll call this 8 or 9 years ago. Tom Kite was there, former U.S. Open winner. So you get to see stuff like that. So anyway, this fella he's laying 2, number 18 on the blue course. It's a par 4. He's laying 2, but he's got a yardage of 98 yards to the flag, hitting off of the number 1 tee box, because that's how his ball hit the cart path and rolled up. He made bogey, by the way. So. Yeah, that was a trip.
I do have a 310. I do have a registered 310-yard drive in my books, but it did take 2 humongous, bounces off the cart path and hit a tree and landed in the fairway. But hey, I said, you know what? According to my shot scope, my watch, my app.
Hey, count it.
310, right? 310. Count it. All right. The last thing here. What's the one thing when you're on the course or when you're playing? The biggest cliche or the biggest, there's a lot of meat on that bone. What's something you hate to hear when you're like on the course?
Mad guy. They're trying to show everybody how good they are by being mad about every shot they hit. Yeah, mad guy. Hey, stop being mad. Why don't you go practice and get a clue of what's going on? They're like, I never double bogey. Okay. Yeah.
All right, Brent. Is there anything that you want to plug or anything you want to talk about that's going on at the Corpus Christi Country Club or anything else?
Yeah, no. If anybody likes golf, you can check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I post to all those 4 sites. But yeah, check out my stuff. If you're around, I'll be happy to help. Give me a shout. You can contact me through any of those avenues. And just want to plug you. Nothing's out of bounds. Appreciate you include me in your podcast, and I've enjoyed this hour.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you so much. If you don't mind just kind of staying on as I close out, I'd really appreciate it. I truly appreciate your time. I know you got a wife and kids, and I know you're super busy on the course. And I really thank you for being on the show. Keep up the great work. And I'm going to see you in July. I'm making my way over there. My daughter's got a cheer camp at the Omni. So I'm going to make my way over there to see you.
Come on. I'll be ready.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
Business card for you this time.
All right. That's what I like to hear. Well, thanks, Brent. If you wouldn't mind staying on, I'd appreciate it.
You got it.
Now, I really want to thank Brent for being on the show. He's an awesome guy, got a great attitude, and you can see why he's having so much success out at the Corpus Christi Country Club. And I'm really happy. It seems like they got a really good golf pro out there, and I know the place is only going up and up, especially for the golf times. It's great right now. Thank you for your supporting me. I can appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. NothingisOB is my handle. I really appreciate it. Now, next week, I got a really awesome guest, too, to capitalize on Brent. I have Omar Uresti. He's actually currently playing in the Senior PGA Championship in Tulsa. I'm looking forward to hearing some of his stories. Thank you for supporting the show. Remember, in the game of life, nothing is OB.